Putin prepares to militarize up to 3 more million people. He just does not want to stop. He is preparing for the major escalation, potentially leading up to World War III. At the same time, the president of Chechnya, Ramzan Kadyrov, he feels that something is wrong, that's why he disappeared. And in a little bit more than 2 weeks, on August 24th, we have a big surprise coming. But more about all this in just a couple of minutes. What's up, investors? It's the Russian dude. And let's get straight to the point and talk about some ridiculous
Russian
propaganda. So, today, not today, but recently, this guy was detained by police in Yeisk, and he was having just way too many tattoos all over his body. And not just some regular tattoos, but something that you can definitely go straight to jail. So obviously, if I want to show his entire body, I'll have to censor it all. That is why all of these pictures from all the different angles and what kind of tattoos he's having, I upload this on my Patreon, link is down below. And the most interesting part about this person is that he likes Wagner so much, but he did not go neither to the Russian army nor to his beloved Wagner. And I please ask you guys, do not do his mistakes, because all of us here are good people, and good people are always welcome in the Russian dude community. Actually, wait a second. My YouTube statistics tells me that 55.5% of you are not subscribed watching this video. I just made my conclusions way too quick, looks like. Well, look at you guys. I guess it is time to change it. If you want to stay updated with the most fresh news about Russian-Ukrainian war, can you please like this video and subscribe to my channel? And yes, I'll wait right here, boys and girls. And yes, this includes you, Jeff, Matt, Scott, Steven, Sebastian, Fernando, Michael, everyone. You should do it right now.
Subscribe to my channel.
Are we done? Okay, now let's continue. So yes, now let's talk about this desire of Putin to sacrifice up to 3 more million people. We will then talk about why Ramzan Kadyrov disappeared and what kind of surprise we can expect on August 24th. And first of all, if you remember, in September of last year, this is when Russia announced its partial mobilization of 300,000 people, but in reality, way more people got conscripted or at least summoned to the military enlistment offices. And in fact, this never actually stopped. They just switched from this partial mobilization to just voluntarily contracts, which were obviously never voluntarily. And even Dmitry Medvedev, he mentioned that 237,000 more people were recruited after this partial mobilization. And so recently, the Russian government started introducing so many suspicious laws, especially limiting every single thing you do if you are summoned into the military. And just for example, here's just a few of them. So, as soon as you're summoned into the military, and you might not even know this, you are already not allowed to leave the country. At the same time, the conscription age was increased from 18 to 27 to 18-30 to recruit potentially more men. And so obviously, one of the very first things the Russian men started to do is to not live in their official address, but to live, for example, with their friends, relatives, with their family, or just rent another apartment. Well, the Russian government thought about this as well. If you change your address and if you do not notify the authorities, you are also eligible to be penalized. And then we even have some ridiculous laws which have been signed recently by Putin, such as, for example, you can no longer use a Western email address to register on a Russian website. Instead, you will either have to use the Russian email address or a Russian phone number, or even your passport data, which once again just makes it so easy for Russian authorities to find you. And apparently, this was still not yet enough for some Russian government representatives, such as, for example, Alexei Zhuravlev, who said that even kids in their kindergarten should already start to learn the basics of military and army-related topics, and then they should increase the conscription top age from 30 all the way to 40 and 50 years old, because he says that everyone must at some point serve the motherland, because they should understand the danger that Russia is is facing right now. But wait, there is more, because recently even the military enlistment document has been updated, and now it includes the things you must bring to this medical examination, which includes separate clothes, toothbrush, soap and things like this. Basically means that you can even be sent to the training camp or maybe even straight to Ukraine right after this simple medical examination. And yes, just once again, in the past military summons always had to be presented in person and in paper form. Well, now they can send them electronically. And you don't even need to accept the acknowledgement that you received them, because the Russian government already summoned you and it's up to you whether you want to show up or not. Because if you do not, you're criminally gonna be prosecuted. And so right here, the most mind-blowing part begins, because Russian government did not stop introducing military law. As it was not already enough of them, well, they thought they need more. And so another one is that whenever there is a martial law in Russia, which is not yet, but they already produced the law about martial law across entire Russian territory. So in this case, if you do something bad, quote-unquote, you can be detained up to 30 days. And yes, the very same Andrei Kartapolov, the mastermind behind majority of this ridiculousness, he then said that yes, if you do not show up in the military enlistment office when you are summoned, you will be criminally prosecuted. And I saved the worst for the last. Yes, there is one more military-related law in Russia which has been adopted recently, and basically says that if a guy is summoned to the military enlistment office, he can no longer receive legal support. The only people who can file a complaint are himself or his relatives. That's it. No more even legal support avoiding going to the army. If you're summoned, it's either jail or the army. And as a result of all this, yes, the Russian government finally started to acknowledge recently that they are preparing for a bigger war. Andrei Kartapolov, once again, he said that yes, we acknowledge majority of these laws we adopted are for the wide-scale aggression against Russia, because we have to protect ourselves. Then we have another Russian government representative, Yevgeny Fedorov, who is also acknowledging that yes, the chances of the next world war right now are very big. That's why Russia have to at least once again defend itself, even though no one is attacking Russia on the territory of Russia. And yes, the most infuriating part about all this is that these are the people who adopt all these laws, but they will never go to the front lines themselves. Neither will they send their kids, friends or relatives. They just don't care about regular Russian people. At this point, we already even have the confirmation of these events from the West, such as, for example, according to the British intelligence report, in case Russia wants to continue doing this war, at this point they will have to make another mobilization, forceful one, because Russian troops are getting very low on personnel, the ones who are still fighting are extremely exhausted and they need to be rotated with the fresh conscripts. And then according to Germany military representatives, Russia, even though they very low on troops right now, once again does not cancel the fact that they will not do another mobilization. Russia is basically preparing to do the war in Ukraine for another 2 to 3 years. But for this, they will most likely need to increase the number of active personnel up to 3 million soldiers. So just pretty much yes, I presented you with all the facts as of right now, so just please let us all know in the comments what do you think, whether there will be another partial or even general mobilization in Russia at all. And by the way, yeah, I almost forgot, but the president of Chechnya, Ramzan Kadyrov, conveniently disappeared. He took this so-called vacation in the beginning of July and no one seen him ever since. And right here is the last known picture of Kadyrov, and he also does not look healthy at all. What a convenient timing, don't you think? And we also have not seen or have not heard from the pro-Russian Chechens as well in a very long time. And the only Chechen forces that constantly keep making the headlines are the ones opposing Russia, Putin and Kadyrov himself. And so, whenever another potential mobilization is announced, I do not think that Kadyrov wants to be anywhere near to his people, or definitely not close to Putin as well. Because Putin will demand Chechens to fight, and if Ramzan Kadyrov fails to do this mobilization, which most likely he will be in very deep trouble. So just once again, make your own conclusions. And well, to make things even more uncertain and scary for the Russian leadership, Ukraine announced some kind of a quote-unquote big surprise on August 24th. And what I am referring to here is this cartoon, which shows that potentially Moscow will be under a huge attack by Ukrainian drones. But if you think about it, last week there were already a couple of attacks against the Moscow city center. All these attacks came exactly almost to the very same buildings, which basically means that Russians, they claim that they are intercepting them, but still, Ukrainians were able to hit the final destination. And so just think about it, these Ukrainian drones were able to cross so much land without being intercepted by Russian air defense, and they once again landed almost in the same place. So it does look like that Ukrainians are probing the defenses of Russians. At the same time, recently we started receiving more and more news about Ukrainians developing different versions of their existing or brand new drones, which once again they will be most likely testing before August 24th to select the most potential ones to use in this big surprise in August. And if something does happen, and personally I have a pretty good feeling something will, if you don't want to miss these potentially historic events, can you please just once again subscribe to my channel, because I will try to do my best to be among the first ones to make this video. And in the meantime, the absolutely best way to support my work is through my Patreon. You can also become my channel member and unlock some channel perks, or simply use the PayPal link. Everything can be found to the right and down below. Thank you so much for your attention, товарищи. Please follow me on Instagram. Beware there are scammers in the comments, and see you tomorrow.